We have an expression in English, taken off. I mean, it's sort of when an aircraft gets into flight, we say it's taken off. But you can also use the same expression for something that's moving or quite successful. You could say, for instance, I started a little business selling shoes, and now it's taken off. Meaning it's successful. It's doing very well. We have an expression in this object here we call a decanter. This is specifically made from crystal glass. It's called cut crystal glass because it's had these cuts into the surface of the glass. And we have two glasses here with it in a similar style of glass with the cut glass. This would be used to, you would fill this with alcohol, either whiskey or brandy or wine, and you would put it on your table and you would pour your wine from this. We have an expression, name dropping. This means if you're with some people you want to impress or try and impress, you would mention one or two names of important people that you know to try and impress them, to try and make them think, wow, you know, you're a popular guy, or you know very important people. It's called name dropping. We have an expression. Today I'm in Headcorn in Kent, which is in the south of England, and I'm at what's called an airdrome. An airdrome is a small airfield, normally with a grass strip or runway, where light aircraft, private aircraft, take off and land. So you'll see behind me many different sorts of we call them light aircraft, which is a private small aircraft. Today, this area here, or this little street, is a particularly good example of what we would call an alleyway. It's a very narrow street just for pedestrians. You can't drive down it, and it has a particular name. We call it an alleyway. Today I'm in Tenterden Station. This railway line and this station is maintained and manned by volunteers. It's actually an old railway line that was built as a commercial line, but now it was shut down many years ago, but people have kept it going and they give their time for free to come and restore these engines, carriages, look after the track, look after all the cafe, the ticket office. They're wonderful people who keep this going, and there are many tourists come here to Tenterden in Kent to this particular steam railway. Today behind me is this very old crane, C-R-A-N-E, it's crane. This was used for lifting heavy goods at the railway station from the trains. It has no motor, it's all hand operated with a handle here, and your turn and the geared action would lift extremely heavy weights with the hook here. Behind me is this very old crane, C-R-A-N-E, it's crane. This was used for lifting heavy goods at the railway station from the trains. It has no motor, it's all hand operated with a handle here, and your turn and the geared action would lift extremely heavy weights with the hook here. Behind me is this very... Today we're in Tenterden, which is a county town in Kent, and we've come across these amazing machines, and this particular machine is owned by this gentleman here, and he's going to say a few words.
Yeah, we've got a general purpose agricultural traction engine built in 1901 in Thetford in Norfolk in England, and she's recently been restored and is good for still now going out and working in the fields and the woodlands as she would have done 120 years ago.
Hey, we're in Tenterden. Come across this object here. This is made from cast iron, and they're called scales, S-C-A-L-E-S, and these are used for weighing objects. You would put your object on here and you would weigh it. It would give you how many kilos or pounds in the Old English measurement. Come across this. Today I'm still in Tenterden, and behind us is another traction engine, but for a particular purpose. And Bill here is going to tell us what it does.
Yeah, we have a steamroller behind us, designed originally for rolling the roads, built in 1923 in Rochester in Kent in the UK, and still fully in steam today, and again available or able to do a day's work as she stands now.
Today, right now I'm in Chinatown, and above me here, all over the streets here, what we call Chinese lanterns. Chinese lanterns. Right now I'm in Chinatown, and above me here, all over the streets here, I'm now standing in what we call a typical English drawing room. Drawing room doesn't mean to say that you get a pencil and paper and you start drawing on it. It comes from the expression withdrawing, meaning you withdraw into this room, maybe after dinner or whatever. So in modern English, it's an old-fashioned term. So nowadays we may call it the sitting room or the front room. I'm now standing in. Behind me here, you'll see all these people standing in a line, waiting for something, this restaurant, so it must be really good. If people stand in a line, in England we call that a queue. Behind me here, you'll see all these people. We have an expression in England, keep off the grass. Occasionally in a public park, you'll see a little sign saying keep off the grass, meaning don't walk on it, keep to the path. But this can also mean, if you say to someone, keep off the grass, it means don't interfere with my sphere of activity or my project. Keep off the grass, don't interfere. We have an In England, when you're with a group of friends or at a social event and you're having a drink, like this delicious glass of wine, you would say cheers or your health to salute your friends. And baby, what's the equivalent in China?
Yes, in China we say, similar thing. 在中国，我们刚刚这个威廉阿德林说，这个在英格兰，我们跟朋友我们在一块聚会，我们会拿着这个酒杯说，干杯，为了健康，为了祝愿一切顺利啊，是一样的，同样的道理。
In England, we have an expression in English to treat someone like an idol, I-D-O-L, idol. This means you adore or worship someone without question. My sister had a very favourite pop star, a very handsome young singer, and he was her idol, so she adored him and worshipped him. We have here on the Ham Polo Ground, and behind me is this very beautiful polo pony with equally beautiful rider in the full kit or regalia. I'm not too familiar with the terms, but could you explain what you're holding there? Do we call that a mallet or a stick?
Mallet, yes.
A mallet. And this mallet is used to strike the ball. In fact, polo, women in China in the Tang dynasty played polo on a horse similar to this. Now I'm inside the British Museum. This is the most important museum in the United Kingdom, of which there are many museums, and probably one of the best museums in the world. I'm standing inside the Egyptian gallery, so around us you'll see all these magnificent sculptures, statues from the Egyptian period. Over here, for instance, is King Ramesses II. If you come here, there's so much to see. You could spend a week here and still not see it all. Now Today, I'm with one of my new fans, Win, and it's her birthday today. So I'd like to say, Senju Kwai La. Happy birthday to Win. Happy birthday to Win. Happy birthday, dear Win. Happy birthday to Win.
Thank you.
Today, I'm with one of my new fans. Behind is what we call a lake. A lake is like a larger body of water, and you'll see here water lilies and in the distance reeds. This was created it's an artificial lake, so this was dug out with a machine and lined with a plastic lining, but it's been here now quite a few years, so it's quite well established with plants. We have frogs, and in there a duck, and various waterfowl. So it's a great sort of little nature reserve. Behind we have an expression in English, to have no backbone, which means you have lack of purpose, or you're morally submissive. You could say that boy has no backbone. He gives in to the slightest problem. We have an anything you don't want or you don't need, we call this litter or rubbish. Litter or rubbish. And this is a litter bin or a rubbish bin. You can say both. These are trees behind me, and we have an expression in English, a family tree. This is a genealogical record of your family history in the form of a diagram, rather like the branches on a tree. You could say, I trace my family history back to the Tang dynasty. We have an expression, museum piece. This literally means something old which could be exhibited in a museum, but it can also be applied to something antiquated or worn out. For instance, if somebody arrived in a very old car and you didn't think it would make it, you could say, look, we can't go to Scotland in this museum piece. It'll never get there. This stone statue behind me is of a lion, the fearsome animal lion. We have an expression in English, lion heart. It means a person who is very brave, very determined. You could say, that old soldier, he is a lion heart. Now I am in the Chinese gallery in the British Museum, surrounded by these spectacular objects and wonderful pieces of art. Everything is divided up into historical order here, so you can go through various dynasties in the display cases. I mean, it must have some of the most amazing objects ever produced in China. They're just difficult to explain in words how wonderful they are. Down here, this is green grass. We have an expression in English, I can hear the grass grow, which means your hearing is so acute, so good, you can hear this grow. But actually you can't hear it grow. Down you'll notice a temporary structure with metal poles and boards. This is what we call a scaffold. It's used to put up, while you're renovating a building. I think in China, what takes a week to do takes a couple of months here instead. You'll notice a temporary structure. Right now I'm in Russell Square, which is a sort of garden in central London. There are many gardens like this, we call them squares. And behind me you'll see this water display here. This is what we call a fountain. Right now I'm in Russell Square.